We're recording.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dual Screens Cross-Play Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me, he's over there. He's over there. He's over there. He's Andy Asimakis. How are you, Andy?
How's it going, Stephen?
Oh, it's going, man. It's going. Yeah, I went to a bowl game yesterday, which is why we didn't record this yesterday. We're recording this on a Wednesday and recording it live on twitch.tv/dualscreens.tv. No, that's not right. Dual Screen Streams. Wow, that's not right at all. Yeah, so I took the day off today because, I mean, when you go to a bowl game and it takes an hour and a half to get home by train, I got home close to like 1, and I went to bed and I was like, you know, I'm not even gonna do it. So I put this date in the calendar a while ago. But you know, it was good times. I had a good time with some friends I haven't seen in a long time. But yeah, just, you know, doing the thing.
I was a little mind blown last night.
Your mind had been blown.
I learned something about a very old game that I grew up with that I had no idea was a thing.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask you a really simple question.
Okay.
Just don't think about it too much. Just tell me what you do know. Okay. What is the plot line to Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link?
Plot line.
The plot. What's the story? What's the setup? What's going on in that game?
The princess is in a forever slumber. And you must find the Triforce of whatever.
Sure.
To put the powers together to fight with the spell holding her under the sleeps.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're there.
Okay.
You almost have it.
Okay.
So that's what I thought was the story too. Princess Zelda fell into a deep slumber. Go get the Triforce and prove your worthiness.
Right.
That's why you fight your shadow at the end of the game, and then you revive her, and then all is well in Hyrule.
Right.
Correct? Correct.
Sure.
I learned last night that is almost a story with one as an asterisk.
There's a caveat.
The Zelda that's asleep in that game is the original Zelda from like a bajillion years ago. So there's 2 Zeldas in that game at the same exact time.
Okay.
So apparently, Link, who's been gone for 3 years, he has the little Triforce symbols on his palm or his hand or his wrist or his balls or where the fuck it is, and it like starts to shimmer and glitter like he's a vampire in Twilight, and then he's like, "Yo, old people in Hyrule, what's this all about?" And then they're like, "Oh, there's a door that matches that symbol. Let's go see what that door is." And he like does a little like scan, like a credit card scan thing.
Yeah.
And the door opens up, and current Zelda, Link, and some old bitch find original OG Zelda sleeping. And the idea that 2 Zeldas at the end of this game are walking around, totally blows my mind.
That's a weird cross of timelines, right?
Yeah, and apparently, like, there was some curse put on the OG Zelda, and her brother, the prince, was so upset he decreed that every princess was named Zelda after her because he fucked up to get her all sleepy.
Right.
So I was like, shit, I never knew. So now I've actually ordered the Zelda 2 manga because I want to read it and get the full story.
Yeah.
I'm like that into it now.
Right. Yeah, I thought Skyward Sword was the furthest back in the timeline.
Yes. Well, this was written before, and you know, there's like 8 timelines in Zelda. There's like a timeline if Link dies in Ocarina of Time that I think becomes what is the OG Zelda series, like the dark timeline, the dark future of Link. So there's a bunch of weird shit. I think there's like 3 distinct timelines in Zelda that exist.
Oh boy. We are nerds. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Dual Screens Crossplay Podcast, the internet's #1 gaming news podcast starring 2 people you've never heard of, probably. The show records live on twitch.tv/dualscreenstreams and is up as an audio podcast for your listening pleasure on your favorite podcast service of choice, including our home, podbean.com. And it goes up on YouTube 24 hours after we record it on Twitch at youtube.com/dualscreens.
Yeah, please subscribe. We have like 700 plus subscribers, inching slowly to 1,000. Let's get us there. Hopefully by year's end.
We're almost there. Yes, and if you want to support us with your hard-earned dollar bills, y'all, you can go to patreon.com/NDS podcast, and we want to thank our 3 Patreon producers for supporting us. That's Vegas Girl on Fire, FNH Paul, and Colton, the apprentice. Nestler. We can't continue to grow without all of your support, and I can't continue to play gaming, Andy. I can't play any games right now because I want to finish Biomutant. And let's slide right into the adventures in gaming.
Boy, you're like committed to that one.
I want to play it. I just want to get in.
You.
It's on my screen right here. It's the pause menu. I have just beaten the third beast thing. Which was really cool. The game is starting to kind of show what it could have been, like a little bit more overtly, because like you go into this battle with the third thingamabobble, and it's all an underwater fight, and you're in this like underwater mech machine thing, shooting missiles, dodging attacks, and like, oh man, I wish there was an underwater component to this game, but not like 3/4 of the way through the game. Like, it's one of those circumstances where you get these powers or these abilities or these things open to you, and you know that you're like pretty close to the end of the game. I wish these things happened a little earlier so that you can like actually explore and enjoy. But the other thing that I've noticed is that they chose to make some of these side missions where you go into like underground bomb shelters or whatever. They could have done something really cool with those, because they make them. There's one that they made pretty big. I forget which one it is, but it was pretty big, and it felt like a dungeon to me. And it would be really cool if they continue this series, they use like proper Zelda-like dungeons. And right now it's just like, oh, go through these 3 rooms, climb the ladder, kill the guy. Oh, now you got the suit, the radioactive suit, which you don't even need because you can just pump points into radioactive defense.
Right.
Which is what I did. I have 100 and everything, so I don't need any of these dumb suits. So, like, you don't need that, but like that's something they could really expound on. They could make that pretty cool thing. But anyway, I'm still enjoying it. I still like it a lot, and that's really all I've been playing. Like I can't think of anything like new. I have a lot of stuff on my plate for the rest of this week of new things. So hopefully we could talk about that next week. What have you been playing?
So I imposed a very strange challenge on myself recently. I was like, I want to play an entire game start to finish on Game Pass on the cloud streaming shit on my Android phone.
Okay.
Like, what can I play that's
quite the flow chart.
Right. That lends itself to those kind of restrictions. So I was like, an RPG. You know, even if it slows down in the whole streaming process, it's not that bad. Turn-based, right? Turn-based, it can handle a little chug along here and there. So I started playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, and I liked it so much. I was like, I really can't play this game on my phone anymore. It's like a huge disservice. So I put it down, and it was on sale on PSN, and I bought it for PS5. And this is, oh my God, Steven, it's my game of last year, this year. That game is so magical.
That's a good award.
So let me tell you why. I'm going to give you 2 words.
Okay.
That will explain to you why this is Game of the Year material.
Please. Okay? Please tell me.
Piss Wizard.
Piss Wizard. Yep.
There's an enemy.
I've known about this.
Called the Piss Wizard. There's an enemy. I'll give you 3 words. Hungry Homeless is the name of an enemy.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to play the game, but there's so much distractions. Like there's a can collecting thing that you fight other homeless to collect cans. There's a Mario Kart thing that I'm also playing. So it's just, I'm like in chapter 5, like I'm 10 hours in. It's so fucking good, and I'm just itching to get back to it. It's so unapologetically Japanese.
Sure.
Like the best way of putting it.
That is definitely the way to put it. I mean, I've watched plenty of streamers play that game, and it looks like a wild ride.
There's summons that are called pound mates.
Okay.
Pound mates. And you have to pay them to fight for you, to summon them in battle.
Right.
And some only come up in certain times a day.
Right. Yeah. Well, on that note, hit us up with some indie news, Andy.
Oh my God, there's so much indie news this week.
There is.
All right. So first things first, one of my favorite games of recent memory, Death's Door, sold 100,000 units in its first week.
I see everybody playing that game right now.
So hell fucking yeah. Give those guys all your money. They're amazing. Ton of support. I'm so glad that it's selling so well, and much deserved. The game was incredible. Go buy it now. Former guest of the show, Splitgate is back in the indie news update.
That's right.
For its third consecutive week.
3 weeks in a row, folks.
So the release has been pushed back due to the game being too popular.
It's broken. Yeah.
It's an actual headline.
Yes, it's 100%
actual headline.
accurate.
After millions of players swarmed to play this game, their servers went kaplooey, and like, you know what? We need more money. So they get a $10 million cash infusion from some unknown entity.
An unknown benefactor.
Right. And that got pushed back to like August or some shit.
I think August 12th. But
right.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear people talking about a game that we had as a guest on the show, and nobody fucking listened to us when we told them to play Splitgate.
And we have the foresight. I mean, we know good games. I mean, we knew Fall Guys before they were a huge thing. You know, Splitgate also. Yep. So you should trust. We are influencers after the fact.
Yes, we are literally the opposite of influencers. We are the uninfluencers. That's what we are. But that's great news. We're hoping to get that team back on the show at some point, possibly after they finally, they officially launch and they get through all their issues, their server issues. They did implement today a queuing system that allows for a certain amount of new players to join and get into games at staggered. So it's not bombarding the servers with 1 million people, but it's doing like 100,000 and then like 25,000 more, and then like whatever, and it's slowly adding to the capacity, and they're going to see how much more they actually need on their server side to get this thing to run at their peak concurrent, which was apparently uncountable. They were not able to quantify that because the servers broke. So, but they said it was at least like 1 million. So, something like that. So a lot of people playing the game. That's really good news.
So, and the last bit of indie news is also tied to a former guest on the show. So, listeners, every now and then, Steven sees something online, and he's like, "This looks really dope. Can you like reach out and see if I can get that? Thinking that they can give us some of that action." Months ago, something appeared online in the limited run category of merchandise that looked fucking phenomenal. And Steven was on the G chats, set them ablaze that day. He was like, "No idea. This looks dope. Can you please ask if you can send us 2 of these things? Because I would love to have one." And most of the time when you ask for shit, I usually don't get it because it's just how shit goes. Right. But awaiting on my doorstep. Oh my! When I came back from the grocery shop the other day, was a little care package. From some old friends. Some old friends at Tribute Games.
Tribute, yes.
And they sent me some of this.
Panzer Paladin Switch. Yes.
For those who are not seeing the video, this is the physical deluxe limited edition of Panzer Paladin. Right, it's a massive box. It has like I think a figures in there, a map. It's like an NES cartridge.
An NES cart. It's
so fucking cool.
Oh, this is so cool.
So I cannot wait to give this to you and watch you unbox it.
I gotta write an email. I gotta write an email. That's fantastic. Unless, of course, you bought it and you're just lying.
No, I wouldn't. I don't spend money on you. I don't spend money on you.
Good. That is a fantastic surprise. I'm very happy about that. That's fantastic. Well, we have some news to go into here. Man, where to start?
Here's the thing. There's look at the structure of the news this week. The last bit of news, you can either start with it or end with it. Well, it depends how you want the flow of the show to go.
We have a guest.
You should ask.
We have a shirtless guest. All right. So I think we should start with the hell on Earth.
All right, let's start with the hellscape.
Let's start with hell on Earth.
I agree with you 100%.
Indeed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Activision is shitty again. And by that we mean EA is breathing a sigh of relief that they are no longer considered the shittiest of them all.
And maybe Ubisoft too. Like, oh shit, good. Now it's on someone else's fucking
somebody
plate
else
to deal with.
But it sucks to even have to talk about shit like this. But there is a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard detailing a long history of harassment and discrimination. This is from Game Informer from Liana Rupert. I'll just read a couple of things here. As detailed in the lawsuit documents found here, they have a link to it if you want to look at all these things. The report alleges that Activision Blizzard has many women fending off, quote, unwanted sexual comments and, quote, being groped during what is being called a cube crawl. Excuse me. I wanted to say public 3 times. Right. In the office, women are subjected to cube crawls in which male employees drink copious amounts of alcohol as they crawl their way through various cubicles in the office and often engage in inappropriate behavior towards female employees. Male employees proudly come into work hungover, play video games for long periods of time during work while delegating their responsibilities to female employees, engage in banter about their sexual encounters, talk openly about female bodies, and joke about rape. According to the report, sexual harassment and misconduct even resulted in one woman committing suicide during a work trip with her supervisor, who reportedly brought butt plugs and lubricant in hopes of coercing her into unwanted relations. This is, again, this thing just keeps getting more and more horrifying. And here's some of the, I want to get Activision's statement here. I mean, it's pretty lengthy, but I think it's important to know the headspace of the people trying to react to this thing. Right. Game Informer reached out to Activision Blizzard spokesperson about the lawsuit, and they responded with the following statement. We value diversity and strive to foster a workplace that offers inclusivity for everyone. There is no place in our company or industry or any industry for sexual misconduct or harassment of any kind. We take every allegation seriously and investigate all claims. In cases related to misconduct, action was taken to address the issue. The DFEH includes distorted and in many cases false descriptions of Blizzard's past. We have been extremely cooperative with DFEH throughout their investigation, including providing them with extensive data and ample documentation, but they refused to inform us what issues they perceived. They were required by law to adequately investigate and to have good faith discussions with us to better understand and to resolve any claims or concerns before going to litigation, but they failed to do so. Instead, they rushed to file an inaccurate complaint, as we will demonstrate in court. We are sickened by the reprehensible conduct of the DFEH to drag into the complaint the tragic suicide of an employee whose passing has no bearing whatsoever on this case and with no regard for her grieving family. While we find this behavior to be disgraceful and unprofessional, it is unfortunately an example of how they have conducted themselves throughout the course of their investigation. It is this type of irresponsible behavior from unaccountable state bureaucrats that are driving many of the state's businesses out of California. So now we're making this a political thing, in case you didn't catch on to that. The picture of the DFEH paints is not the Blizzard workplace of today, but they're not denying that this wasn't the conduct in question, though. Like that's what they're saying, that we're not this today. We're not this today. This is very weird.
Right. These are like 2013.
Yeah.
That's like the year.
Over the past several years and continuing since the initial investigation started, we've made significant changes to address company culture and reflect more diversity within our leadership teams. We've amplified internal programs and channels for employees to report violations, including the Ask List, with a confidential integrity hotline, and introduced an employee relations team dedicated to investigating employee concerns. We have strengthened our commitment to diversity, equality, inclusion, and combine our employee networks at a global level to provide additional support. Employees must undergo regular anti-harassment training and have done so for many years. I could tell you, as an employee who has taken many of those and has watched people take many of those don't fucking matter. Nobody gives a shit. The only reason why they give you those courses is so that if you get caught doing something, they could say that they tried,
hey, we tried to help
you. Yeah, that's
how to be a human.
It is 100% a legal thing. Don't even take any of that seriously. No, I have seen guys who have signed that paperwork, who have openly, using company equipment, have openly gone to porn websites on a job site and showing, look at this amazing, look at this. And I'm like, dude, so no, this is not whatever. Anyway, we are confident in our ability to demonstrate our practices as an equal opportunity employer that fosters a supportive, diverse, and inclusive workplace for our people, and we are committed to continuing this effort in the years to come. It is a shame that the DFEH did not want to engage with us on what they thought they were seeing in their investigation. Now, aside from the legalities of what's appropriate, what's not appropriate for like actually creating a lawsuit, you know, statute of limitations, whatever, the fact that this is a 2013, 2014 incidents that they're highlighting, I don't know legally, whatever, if they could even file a lawsuit based on stuff that has either been corrected or hopefully you think has been corrected. But what I have seen, and many people have seen on the internet, which of course is the internet, but it's like on Twitter, former employees that are much more recent employees that have left have said this is still something that's going on or was still going on when they were there not that long ago. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have guessed the house that Call of Duty built with all its, you know, demographic of frat boys has like a frat boy culture going on in its workspace.
Right. And, you know, it's funny because, well, it's not funny, but it's, if you look at 2013 and you look at those years, the 3 prior and the 3 after 2013, those were probably the biggest years Activision/Blizzard had ever financially. Like they were just swimming in money. They could do no wrong. Everything they put out made a crap ton of money. So I imagine like the arrogance of the leadership during those times, they probably thought nothing could take them down. Nothing could hurt them. Nothing could ever, like, you know,
at the highest level of the company, you're like, who are you to say I can't, you know, do what I want with some random employee or like come on to some girl at some convention. Like there was like some horrible shit about E3 and like some hotel, you know, like the Cosby suite that I was reading about today. That was just horrific when I was reading it.
Oh, I didn't think anything. I didn't think anything of that.
Right. So, you know, to mention the whole thing about harassment training, it's like it's shit we all get in a company, and I feel stuff like that. It's when I see that, when it comes to like either it's like harassment, cybersecurity, all those like essential workplace like certifications you gotta take for onboarding. It's always like a slog. It's like, yeah, I know I'm not a shitty person. I'm not going to share company secrets. Can we just get through this shit? Like, you're not even reading the goddamn thing. It's like, it's all common sense questions, blah, blah, blah. I'm done. Just give me the things I can move on.
They just want all they want is your signature. That's all they want.
The thing is like stuff like that isn't going to teach people who are shitty people to not be shitty.
Right.
People will be shitty up until the point when people call them out for being shitty. You can't teach that out of someone.
Right.
So what I want to say for anyone out there that goes through this, I know it could be tough. Find the support system and don't wait to let people know, to ring the alarm. Right. Because they will continue doing this shit up until when they are properly caught, because they're not being stopped.
And not only that, but they typically get worse.
Right. Exactly.
They typically will do it more often. They'll do it more brazenly out in the open.
Yeah, it's like a serial killer. Like it's more braver with each kill. It's like, all right, I've had my taste. You know, now I can move on to like I'll kill during the daytime now, like shit like that. It's like you got to speak out on these things.
Yeah,
I know, and I know it's scary if you're like in a low position and it's like a big deal company and like you got to pay your bills. And I know it's tough. And I have never been in that spot, thank God.
Yeah.
But find people that you can trust to be like, listen, this is going on. And luckily today, with how everything is like Big Brother being watched and with Twitter being what it is,
everything's connected too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that now we're more afraid to like even offend someone on some level, lest it may blow up. So fortunately, that's a good knockoff effect that we're trying to mind our P's and Q's a little bit more.
Well, yeah, I mean,
in the workplace,
I
would hope.
Yeah, and there was always that overcorrection, right? Like,
yeah,
when
the pendulum going
the other way, pendulum goes so quick, so hard into that bro culture that you know that just what we just read, all of that, it goes so hard into that then it starts to gain momentum within the other way, and then for a few years ago in the Me Too movement, we hit that other side where there was no. And not to, and when you say overcorrection, it's an opposite but equal reaction. It's simple. Like the harder you punch, the harder you get punched. It's just the way it is. So if we were so quick to not give a shit about the who we're hurting and the victims when we were at our worst, why are we going to give a shit about people who are being accused of things? Like it was like no matter what, if you accuse somebody, like the overcorrection was they did it, whatever, get rid of them. Right. So now we're starting to swing, and it's starting to come in the middle and started to slow down a little bit, and we're being a little bit more methodical about how we approach this. We approach this legally now. We approach this with these types of investigations, which can take years, if not months, if not years, to do, and you're really building a case. You see this in other areas too. You see this in sports with the current pitcher for the Dodgers who is on a leave he's taking a leave right now because of a woman that accused him of choking her twice until she was unconscious while having a sexual encounter. And the team took his merch down. They did all this stuff because it looks like more and more as they're investigating this, as it gets deeper and deeper, this is something he's claiming is consensual. Rage. He's claiming it's consensual. She's claiming it's not.
Oh, like she didn't get the safety word? Is that what happened?
I mean, if you want to boil it,
is that how we swing it? Like, well, this is part of the game we were playing. It's like it was all agreed upon beforehand.
Right. But apparently, it wasn't. So, you look at it, and I think now we're almost at the sweet spot of people should be way more afraid to be an asshole. They should be, if you're a bad person, there's more fear for you to be a bad person, especially in public, which you would think the opposite with all the robbery and shootings that are happening in broad daylight, but we're talking more about workplace stuff, school stuff, things like that. Hopefully this sparks a culture change, because from what Activision said in their release, there is they've made strides to try and make this a better thing. Now, as we said earlier, it seems like they haven't really hit it all out of the park, but we'll see. It makes
you wonder how high this thing went, because some pretty senior people were involved in this. I saw some of the names that work close with Jeff Kaplan, who hasn't been named in this, but he worked close with those who were let go because of some really bad stuff. And I'm wondering, you gotta weed them all out, get them all out of there, and just clean house.
Yeah. There's some more news. There's some more stuff to add to this.
This thing is it just opened the floodgates.
Yeah. There's been informal protests, denouncements from employees throughout Activision Blizzard. They're holding a formal walkout. They held that today. That was today. Calling on leadership to improve conditions. This next part, I don't even know what to think of it, but Activision Blizzard is paying people to walk out, almost like, no, we believe you, go and support. I feel like there's other things you could do, hey, everyone, how about this? You match their salaries and donate it to, suicide prevention or
some women's shelter or something like that.
Whatever. But in any event, apparently there was work on World of Warcraft ceased for a couple of days. I think this might have been last week. I'm not 100% sure when I read that. That's not on this article that I'm reading right now, but because people just said we're done, we're leaving until a statement, because Activision made a statement that the employees of Activision did not agree on. They were not happy with it.
It was like Mad Libs. It was just filled in. It was fill in Activision, and it was a standard boilerplate apology for these kind of things that exists in some Google Docs somewhere probably.
Right. Yeah, it's ripped right. I mean, they probably just copy and pasted Ubisoft's, if we're honest.
Yeah.
I guess to kind of put a bow on this, Activision Blizzard's huge company, Ubisoft huge company, EA huge company, Amazon huge company, they're Google huge company. When you get hired someplace and they always talk about the culture, oh, here's our culture, whatever. That's all nonsense, because the culture comes from the people you hire. It comes from the people running the departments. The person who created the company is long gone. There's no, if it's a publicly traded company, probably there's a bunch of moving parts. All they care about is money. And if they could exploit everyone to make more money, they will. That's the true behind the scenes culture of every business anywhere ever. If you think for 1 second it's not, you are naive, and it'll happen, and then you'll realize it'll open your eyes. It's fine. But the culture, the true culture, the day-to-day culture of a workplace starts with its employees and its leadership. And you, as an employee of one of these companies, you can change the culture by calling people out on their bullshit, by striving for leadership positions, showing leadership positions, and getting people behind you. If you can show that you are worth something to the people that are in your team, not the people above you, the people in your team, they will prop you up. And that is how you can change your culture in your workplace. If somebody's being shitty, put them on blast, and HR doesn't work for you. HR is a hired entity by the corporation. So HR is useless. They don't care about you. They never care about you.
They're there to make you go away as quietly as possible.
Right. They are there to help the company mitigate damages when shit goes sideways. They don't care about you. So with that being said, you got to create your own human resources. Almost, you have to create your own representation.
That's really good. Yeah.
To each other, help each other out. If you see somebody being shit on, in some cases, literally, apparently that's a fetish. I don't kink shame. You have to speak up for them. You have to get up there and you have to fight for the little guy, no matter what. But let's move on. Oh baby. Speaking of the little guy, that little guy with the tiniest ego, Kojima, he has been, well, let's just say we have sales numbers here, and this humble man has made a pretty good video game.
He did. He made a game that sold some units. Death Stranding has officially sold 5 million copies on both PC and PS4 combined.
That's not bad.
It's not bad for a game that's a year and a half-ish old. So this comes from Jay Bohr. Now, Jay Bohr, when I see that name, my heart gets a little fluttery. Jay Bohr is the current, I think he's head of marketing and PR for Koji Pro. He used to be marketing guy for
He's
Konami.
head of publishing.
There you go. He used to be publishing, marketing, PR guy for Konami. And he was very clearly poached by Kojima for his company. But the reason why my heart gets a little bit, fluttery when I see his name, a bajillion years ago, when I used to write for a company called GamesAbyss.com.
I've heard of it.
My very first review copy that I received was for Castlevania Judgment, a horrible Castlevania fighting game, and it came from Jay Bohr.
That's cool.
So he and I have, we've been in touch over the years, and I'm trying to get him on the show for
that'd be a great one. Yeah.
Director's cut for Death Stranding, but it's just funny seeing how people were saying how this game was a big of a flop for Sony, how there was like warehouses full of unsold copies of the game that they were trying to get rid of, and it somehow soured their relationship between Kojima and Sony. But here we go. Furthest from the truth. Game sold very, very well, so I'm glad to see that, and the future is looking bright for Kojima.
Yes, and now he's gonna release his final vision of the game that nobody got in the way of him making.
Exactly,
and it'll get its boost now.
Right.
Speaking of a boost, everybody who has a penis got a boost in their penile region, and women got all excited all over the world because Dead Space Remake is finally a real thing, Andy. That's right. It's a real thing. The arousal is real. The internet has collectively just lost their fucking minds because EA was like, wow, Activision shitty, release the Dead Space. And here we are.
How do I celebrate this without being salty about no new Silent Hill game? I'm going to try. I'm really going to try.
Here's how you do it. Here's how you do it, Andy.
I'm going to try, Steven.
It is way easier to remake a PS3 era game than it is to remake a PS1 era game.
So, yes, that's true. So the cool thing about this, I want to point a few things out. This is a completely current gen current gen
Current gen.
or next gen game only. So it ain't gonna be on old shit. So your PS4s, your Xbox Ones, your Shadow Luck, get it by the new hotness, or get a souped up PC to play it on, or I guess on a phone that has maybe a Game Pass or a cloud thing. So that's kind of cool. It's built from the ground up on newer shit, which I love. One thing that I also saw was they're trying to include content from the original game in making the remake, which is kind of cool. It's like, it's not just the old shit shinier with some new mechanics. Like, we're trying to make this the best vision possible for this remake. Plus, the team working on this that did the Star Wars Squadron games, actually consulting with the original Dead Space team in this thing. So that's kind of cool. I saw one funny headline about this game, and it was funny that it was actual news. That was microtransactions won't be in Dead Space. And I'm just like, how is that?
How would you even put it in there?
Why is, first of all, fine, I get it, but that shouldn't be a selling point for a game.
I guess it's EA, right?
Right. It's like, we're not going to EA the fuck out of this game. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We're not, because Dead Space 3 had some really shitty microtransactions.
Yeah.
Woo!
One of the things that I don't know if it's in the, no, it is not. One of the things that came out of this whole EA week, whatever, was that they are doubling down on single player.
Wasn't apparently Skate 4. Yes.
Yeah, they are going to be putting out more single player experiences, local experiences, less games of service type stuff coming from EA in the near future. So that's pretty cool.
That's really good.
That's good to see. And as far as Dead Space goes, I beat Dead Space 1 and 2. I never even bothered getting 3 because of how awful it got reviewed and everything.
And 3 was just so far from what made Dead Space good.
Yeah, I mean that's what I gathered. Didn't that have co-op?
It was co-op,
yeah,
and it had like the blandest ever co-op character. You could partner with Isaac. He was so like an empty human being. Like, he would have had no face. He was that plain. He had no face.
Yeah.
And it was poorly written. It was leaned way hard into action over horror.
Yeah.
So
I think the success of Resident Evil 2 remake really propelled the development of Dead Space remake, because it kind of shows you, with modernization and with taking some modern tech and really bringing modern sensibilities into your game design,
right,
you could really do a really wonderful things with, especially the horror genre.
Exactly. And also, like, Capcom is like holding down the market of AAA horror games right now. Like, they have a lock on that genre. Like, they're putting money into AAA horror when no one else is going to do that in the entire market. And there's money to be made in that space, and they're only doing it and no one else. So it's like, yes, please give me more of that.
There's room. There's room out there.
There is plenty of room.
Speaking of room, is there any room for another Metal Gear Solid?
Oh, fuck me. Okay. All right, Steven.
Yeah.
We're going to go through this very slowly, very delicately, and we're not going to talk about conjecture or hypotheses or theories or, conclusions or shit like that.
Right.
I'm going to give you some facts, and we're going to talk about it. Okay?
Yes, please.
So Blue Box Game Studios, the people that are trying to distance themselves from being a Silent Hill game, this abandoned game, which their app, you can download, I think, tomorrow on your PS5, and it launches on August 10th. I'm not going to talk about the weird description of that app, what it does, how it's a real-time experience, how it's going to utilize the haptics and the DualSense.
Oh, yeah.
To show something in a fucking not demo. I'm not gonna theorize on that.
Okay.
There was an image on their Twitter page that said abandoned real-time experience coming on this day. You can download on this time, yada yada. And in the background is a it's a blurred image, but you can very clearly see a guy with an eye patch.
Right.
And you have to wonder, what game are these guys playing? This is like high-level trolling shit right now. I can understand the whole Silent Hill thing, Kojima conspiracy that was like around for a couple of days, like a few weeks back. And then all that kind of died down when it seemed like, okay, I think it was just these guys did some poor marketing or great marketing, or you want to look at it. But now it's blatantly calling out to Metal Gear in some way. So here's what I'm thinking. Okay, now I'm gonna put on the tinfoil hat for a very brief second. Okay. Here's what I think what this whole thing is. I think that this studio is a real studio, and that Abandoned is an actual game that's not Silent Hill or Metal Gear.
Okay.
I think that when they first showed this trailer out months ago, and people thought that it was Silent Hill, Kojima was like, you know what? Just go with it, guys. Because I'm actually working on a Silent Hill game, but you're not. But I totally am. So let the world think you're doing it. And then when it turns out not to be that, and it's like, oh, well, there's that. I guess it's not a Silent Hill. Then I release my shit. Now, another theory I had, this is the second theory I have. I'll make it as brief as possible. Abandoned, I thought, is a very clever name because Silent Hill is an abandoned franchise.
Yes.
You can say that for all Konami franchises.
Correct.
You can say that for Silent Hill, for Castlevania, for Metal Gear Solid. What if this is a way to say that, because there was rumors from last year that Sony had bridged the gap somehow between Konami and Kojima, that they were licensing Castlevania, Silent Hill, and Metal Gear from Konami to Sony. And there was a podcast I follow called Moore's Law is Dead podcast, November of last year, confirmed on their end that a Metal Gear remake is happening by Blue Point, and that Kojima was working on Silent Hills specifically. So I'm wondering if Abandoned is it's abandoned IPs that we are now working on, in a sense. Again, it's a little out there, it's a little kooky, but and you have on Twitter when someone asks Shuhei Yoshida, what the fuck is this Abandoned game? He does the old like chin emoji, like the whole yes, interesting. So it's like there's this app thing, and Sony's being really quiet about it. It's a lot of weird shit's going on. There was a Norman Reedus Instagram post today of him with Robbie the Rabbit from Silent Hill 3. Apropos of nothing, no context at all. It's just there that exists for some reason.
Of course it does.
I don't know. It's I'm still on this weird ride, I guess, and
somebody on Twitter
we'll know in a couple of days.
Wrote this, and you would know because I didn't play Metal Gear Solid 5. But this person says, at the end of Metal Gear Solid 5, there's a cassette tape. Truth Records, Les Enfants Terribles, in which Ocelot talks about David and Eli being raised free range. In regards to Les Enfants Terribles, he says, might as well call it abandoned.
Oh my God, stop. Oh, it's also worth noting, Stephen, that the eye patch is on the right side. That is not the Big Boss side.
Left side.
No.
It's Big on his left eye.
Big Boss has it on the left eye. The blurred image on the Blue Box tweet has it on the right eye. That's how Solid Snake wore it in part 4.
It's the left eye. I'm looking at it right
now. For Metal Gear Solid 5, right?
No. The abandoned image has the eye patch on the left eye.
You're sure about that?
I'm
pretty
positive,
sure it's on the right
unless
side.
it's a mirror, but it's not a mirror.
Could be. Could be.
No. And there seems to be reflections of some words that are not seen here as well.
Right.
It's the left eye, but it's the right side of the picture. Correct. Because if he's looking at us, it's his left eyeball. And it looks like he doesn't have hair either. But I digress, as one should digress.
All right.
Lots of digresses happening.
I don't want to dwell on that for too long. You want to go into some sales numbers, more sales numbers, Steven?
This is it, man. This is the thing right here.
There was like a lot of sales numbers this week.
There sure was.
Shit done sold really well lately. Go ahead. Hit me.
Me? I hit you? Oh yeah, that's right. It's mine.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll open this up. Yeah, you usually like to do the sales stuff, so I just thought this was yours. Okay. This is from Shinobi on the whole Twitter, Andy. Xbox. It's selling. It's selling things. The Xbox Series XS are the fastest selling Xbox consoles ever, with more consoles sold life to date than any previous generation, says Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. So right now, this thing is on the pace. It is doing better than any Xbox at this current time of its life cycle, as the kids say. That's pretty cool. But we have some more stats here to go over, Andy.
Yes.
There's some more stats.
Hit me.
Gaming revenue has increased 11% in fiscal year 2021 Q4. Knowing this growth, let's see. This is coming. Oh, by the way, this is coming from Dom at Dom's Playing. Knowing this growth, my math shows Q4 sales games totaled $3.74 billion, which is a record Q4 for Xbox. Xbox content and services dipped 4%, and first party were offset by declines in third party. Yeah. So yeah,
there's a few things I want to touch on this. First of all, congrats on Microsoft. I mean, Series S and X are such in high demand, and they're great pieces of hardware. I wish I had mine, but Best Buy canceled my order.
Oh no!
For some unknown reason,
Those
and
bastards.
I was very mad about that. I think that's going to be my Steam Deck money anyway. So, oh well. So, yes, this is the fastest selling Xbox console to date. That is an undeniable fact. That's true. The Xbox One, when it was launched, was also the fastest selling Xbox console ever released. It outpaced the 360 by 1 million units in the same time frame that it was on the market. I think ditto for the Series X and S. I think they're outpacing by 1 million-ish compared to the Xbox One era in the same time frame. So I'm going to keep a close eye, because the Xbox One had a huge start. Like, it had some hiccups in the PR side and the pricing. It wasn't all there, and Sony took advantage of that big time, but it still sold well when it was first released. But the end result was selling just over half of what the 360 did. So it really dwindled down.
Right. It hit a wall, basically.
Right. I don't see that happening with the Series X and S, because they have such a huge library of first-party shit, the Bethesda deal, Game Pass. So the incentive is now there to invest in this platform more than ever. So I'm going to keep a close eye and see how this thing does.
Especially long-term. Yeah. There's much more long-term investment happening on the Xbox side.
I believe even the Xbox One for the first 3 years was outpacing the 360. I think it just couldn't. It hit that wall. Then that was that. I'm also, this whole like third-party software sales being down is also something I want to point out, because I'm like a semi-big sales guy. I like numbers and metrics. This is why I don't like it when I see hardware up 174%. That sounds like a nice fancy PR spin. I want to see actual numbers, like what did you sell, what's out there, because of course the Series X and S way popular than the Xbox One, compared to last year anyway. No one was buying that thing. That was like towards the end of its life.
Right.
So if you're comparing hardware to the tail end of a sort of lukewarm received console to the new hotness, there's going to be a huge spike. I get that. I just want to see the numbers, for one thing. And then on the third-party sales side, I'm wondering, I see more and more when it comes to third-party games being released on PC, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox, very small numbers on the Xbox side. And I feel it's like the knockoff effect of Game Pass. It's people thinking this may come to Game Pass later, so I'm not going to buy it right away. Or it's on Game Pass now, so I'm not going to buy it anyway. And you're seeing like 10% of new games, 20% of new games on Xbox systems, and like 80% on PlayStation. Or like, I think the most recent game I saw was Chris Tales, which is on Game Pass now. It was like 35% PlayStation, 50-something on Switch, and like 10% on Xbox. So I think that's like where you're seeing that lull in the third-party sales, and I wonder how folks react to that on the third-party side. I don't know. I feel like that could be a potential
Well,
issue.
yeah, I mean,
on the third party.
Some of these games are on Game Pass, so like,
right?
What do they look?
But listen,
what do they look
like
at that as?
Right, but like Resident Evil 8, it was like such a low number of sales on Xbox systems. It was like 25% on Xbox, and like the huge majority is on PlayStation.
Right.
So
speaking of
just something that's interesting. Oh yeah, with numbers.
Yeah, this one has numbers. And this is gonna to cap the whole numbers situation. But PS5 sales top 10 million as it becomes the fastest selling PlayStation console ever. So not only is the Series X the fastest Xbox console being sold, but PS5 is now the best selling, fastest selling console, which basically means the same thing. Up to this part in its life, it is selling more than any console up to the same part in its life. So it's 248 days total. So 10 million in less than a year. That's pretty fucking big, actually. In a pandemic. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like chip shortages. It's only 20 days. It's only 20 days ahead of the PS4. So a little bit less than a month ahead. So we all know the PS4 was pretty huge when it first came out as well. Here's some other things here. Spider-Man Miles Morales has sold a grand total of 6.5 million copies around the world. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart has shipped 1.1 million units since its launch. And Returnal has sold 560,000 copies since its launch, which honestly is a huge success for them. Anything over 300, I think, was a big success for that team.
I mean, for a AA game of like a niche within a niche market already.
Yeah.
It's an M-rated roguelike sci-fi horror game.
Shooty
game. I do want to say one thing about this, Steven, or I got a few thoughts actually, is first of all, it's over.
Oh, it's over.
The console generation has been decided. The winner is now Sony.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because, listen, I don't set the standard.
Oh, okay.
The ones that are in charge set the standard.
Oh, and who would that be, Andy?
They set the rules. Microsoft itself set the rules.
Oh, Microsoft set the rules.
Microsoft.
That's interesting.
Declared that history has shown, is the exact quote, that the first company to reach 10 million in console sales wins the generation battle.
Oh, I see.
Which is also, I read an interview not too long ago.
It's ironic.
Prior to this generation launching, Peter Moore, Peter Moore, right?
Peter Moore, sure.
Yeah. Who said, always remember, first to 10 million units wins. Okay. And this is actually a fun interview because it's him talking to Michael Pachter, who's like the absolute worst like analyst that ever analyzed.
Oh, those are shots fired.
Because he's saying like Microsoft is waiting for like Sony to blink first on pricing, and then they're going to come undercut them by like $100. It's like, you could not have been more wrong. First of all, Microsoft announced their pricing first, and there was no undercutting. There was no waiting, no blinking. It was like, bro, quit your day job at this point. But yeah, congrats to Sony for winning the generation. First to 10 million.
It's in the book.
It's locked in now. But on a more serious note, Spider-Man, I really want to know how many of those sales were on PlayStation 5 versus PlayStation 4.
That would be interesting.
Because I'm seeing this trend that whenever a bundle of PS5s is dropped in any particular region, you see the Miles sales spike up dramatically.
Yeah.
It's like folks are waiting to get their hands on that system to buy Miles Morales.
Miles is definitely the game that, a much wider audience can enjoy to show off their new shiny hardware. It's for pretty much all ages, really.
Right. And the last thing I want to say when it comes to the true winner of all this news bit, it's Sony, and it's because they have just proved that spending
You're such a pony, I swear to God.
buying Insomniac Games for $220 million
220
has proved to have been like the smartest acquisition ever for them. When their recent game sells 1.1 million, their game before that sells 6.5 million, and they're doing all the heavy lifting for the PS5 so far. They're carrying that shit on their shoulders. I mean, they have help from like Returnal, Demon Souls, We got Astrobot in there. We got other shit.
They doubled their money already in sales.
Right. They're like, that was the smartest buy.
That's not how it works. They spent a lot more money than that.
Right. And it makes you wonder what the fuck Spider-Man 2 is going to look like in terms of sales.
It's going to look like heaven, I think. Right. It's going to look like heaven.
But yeah, and in any case, listen, everyone's doing great. I love it. I love when everyone's happy and healthy and selling good shit. It means good games are going to come our way.
Yes.
We will gobble that shit up. So congrats to everyone across the board except for the Hype Zone.
Yes, I was going to say congratulations to all Nintendo Switch owners. Another banger offering from Nintendo for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System July 2021 games. Andy, please give us a rundown of what we can expect to play on our retro machine in the coming moments here.
Steven, we quibble a lot.
We quib.
I like the word quibbling. It's a fun word, quibble.
Quibbles and bits.
About the quality of our monthly subscription game services and the games they give us.
Right.
For buying into that.
Speaking of PlayStation Plus's next offerings are terrible.
Right. But so again, we're talking about PS Plus, and August is kind of meh.
Yeah.
We talk about what's coming up for games for Gold.
Game Pass also looks really good. Kind of a lot of good additions for Game Pass.
Game Pass has some good shit. But Nintendo proves time and time again they are top notch,
upper echelon
at quality.
It's true.
We are getting for the month of July Claymates.
Yes, love Claymates.
Jelly Boy.
Oh, okay.
And Bamboozle. Now, I just want to read to you the reaction from the Nintendo community on this YouTube video, which is sitting right now at 3,000 likes and 15,000 dislikes. Some of the warm reception that Nintendo was getting. You know, there's that one person who's like, oh yes, Jelly Boy. You guys are not even trying anymore. Earthbound? That's a cool way of spelling Jelly Boy. Meanwhile, in an alternate universe, fans, we want Jelly Boy. At this point, Nintendo was trolling. It's my favorite one yet. How to turn even your most loyal fan base into pirates. Whoever runs the Switch Online games clearly didn't have a good childhood. And finally, at least they didn't announce that Jelly Boy was an OLED optimized game. And there's so many more. There's so much gold. They were roasted for this lineup. Nintendo, what are you doing?
Andy,
what are you doing? Steven, yes.
Much like Nintendo's online service, this show has come to an end. It has done. We have done it. I honestly, if whoever greenlights this online stuff, these retro games, needs a stern talking to, because it is with the incredible library that the Super Nintendo has. This just it's baffling. It truly is baffling. Were there that many licensed games that were top? Like, is that why? Or they like, I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I don't like. You have so much that you own that you can give away.
Yeah, but I guess like, you know what ruined it? The Capcom collection, the that collection, all those shits coming out on the Switch. That's what ruined it. Because they should have said, no, you can't put that collection on here. We want you to put them in a subscription stuff.
Chip and Dale and DuckTales on like the Nintendo online service.
Chip and Dale, Rescue Ranger, Chip and Dale, when there's danger. Anyway, folks, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. I love you all. Thank you so much for listening. This has been great. If you want to follow us on social media, we're at dual_screens on Twitter and at dualscreens on Instagram. I am at Batchild27. Andy is at PantsGuy. And you can join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/DS podcast. Thanks again to everyone listening, everyone watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up. Tell your friends, hey, these two idiots are kind of entertaining. Let's hang out with them. Let's listen to their shows. And don't forget to listen to our other show every single Friday, except when Andy forgets to put it on YouTube because he's a dumb idiot. go to youtube.com/dualscreenstv and check out our interview show, the Dual Screens podcast, where we interview indie developers, voice actors, producers, all sorts of people involved in indie game development. We have some great shows in the can. We have a lot of good stuff coming up. Very exciting. So please go check those out. We've had some of our best episodes ever this past month. So go over there and show us some love. That's going to do it. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, my son, for coming in during the show. I might cut that out. I don't know. We'll see.
Best raid ever.
We'll see. That maybe, I don't know. We'll see. And as always, please be excellent to each other.